From October 12th till November 11th of this year, Rob Jones ran 31 marathons in 31 consecutive days in 31 different cities from Seattle, Washington to Washington, D.C. and many points in between, including London, England, and Toronto, Canada. This 812.2 mile self-imposed challenge would be an incredible achievement for any world-class athlete. Except Rob Jones has prosthetic legs. You see, Rob Jones is a Marine who had both legs amputated after being wounded in Afghanistan clearing IEDs for his fellow Marines in 2010. Since this time, Rob has become a Paralympic medalist in rowing, biked 5,180 miles across the country, and devoted his life to raising money for veterans charities. From Improv Alive Studios in Seattle, Washington, I'm Julian Schrenzel, and this podcast, Improvisationally Speaking, is very proud and honored to bring you Rob Jones. Rob Jones, welcome to Improvisationally Speaking.
Hey man, good to be here. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Oh, the opportunity is all on this side. In this interview, you in particular, I feel like your story is, I'm having trouble trying to imagine this podcast supporting such an important and heavy story and amazing story as yours. So I'm going to just do my best to do that. But
sure, it'll be more than good enough.
Thank you, Rob. I wanted to start out with, in doing my research for today, obviously your accomplishment, which has been most recently completing 31 marathons within 31 consecutive days in 31 major cities, which you were able to do, and I've never heard of anybody being able to do such a feat. But that is kind of front and center and what everybody kind of sees. And I was wondering, what do you think about being known as the guy who had, who lost his legs but completed 31 marathons in 31 days? How does that strike you as being that guy that everybody knows for that?
I'm perfectly happy with being known for that. There's a lot of different things you could be known for that I would say would be equal, but, I can't think of very many things that I'd be happier to be associated with than, being able to use my tragedy to complete such a task and then have a difference for my fellow veterans. And I'm more than happy to be associated with it. However, I do kind of hope that eventually my name will get dropped off of what I did, and people can just remember that it was a wounded veteran that did it. And that's the only thing that's really important to me. So whether my name gets remembered as associated with it, I don't really care. Okay. As long as the story itself remains.
Do you think that the more important aspect of what you did is the focus on veterans, and like I know you fundraised for that for veterans, is that the more important thing, or do you think that the message to other people who have limitations or have had setbacks that are huge could fight through that and still make something so amazing happen? Is there a one or the other that's more important to you?
Well, my focus was to raise awareness for veterans and about veterans. But that being said, just because I was primarily focusing on veterans doesn't mean that what I was doing isn't universal for anybody. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's, one being more important than the other. I just focus on veterans because I am a veteran and I have experience in that realm and being a part of that community. Mm-hmm. But I'm pleased that I'd be pleased to hear that, if other people were able to use the same exact lesson as a non-veteran, then, even better, Yeah. But yeah, I just focus on veterans because I am a veteran and,
Yep.
I'm a part of that community.
Yep. Got it. And I know, I would imagine that sense of toughness, your willingness to push through and your seeking out of doing things that everybody would think is impossible is something that was probably with you and has been part of your personality since forever ago. And if that be the case, I'm wondering has your sense of self, your self identity, your image of how you see yourself, has it changed significantly since you lost your legs?
Um, it probably has. I'd have to think about exactly how, but I definitely, I probably knew all the lessons that I know now prior to, maybe not all of them, but a good amount of them prior to losing my legs. But I hadn't had the opportunity to put them into use or utilize them or put them into practice until my injury. So I didn't know for sure whether or not I could embody those things until I was given the opportunity. Um, and so I think it's kind of confirmed myself. It's changed my self identity in that it's confirmed that I was able to embody those lessons that I had learned already. Um, and it gave me a good test. So, yeah, I would say my self image changed in that now I've confirmed these things, whereas before, I thought maybe I could be that way, but I wasn't sure because I never had the opportunity.
Do you think that what you have gained from kind of proving to yourself that ideal, do you think that that is the most valuable thing that you've gained through this experience, or do you think there's anything more valuable?
I would say the most valuable thing that I've gained through it, on a personal level, yeah, it's probably just if I was only thinking about myself, I do these things not really for myself. I'm doing them for my fellow veterans more than anything. But if I was to take that out of the equation and only think about myself, then yeah, I'd say the affirmation that of those lessons that I'm trying to embody would be the best thing that I got out of it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, just proving to myself that I was able to accomplish such a daunting task, and then just the self confidence and the ability to take it to the next level, knowing that I'm here and being able to take it to the next level. So that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be the two top things.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that if you had a crystal ball and you could turn back time and change the events, but you would not have learned the things or gone through and confirm the things in you that you have been able to confirm and learn by your recent achievements, do you think you would go back and change that and not get the benefit of what you've learned, or would you keep things the same?
I would keep things the same just because, well, first of all, I mean, obviously the crystal ball doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
you can't go back and change anything. So the more time you spend thinking about, what could have been if, something hadn't happened, or thinking about things that you could have done differently so that it didn't happen, the less energy and the less time you'll have to focus on, where you're going now. I kind of analogize this with a rowing analogy. So I did rowing from 2012 2013.
Yes.
And over the course of one rowing race, there's, I don't know, like maybe 150, 200 strokes that you take.
Yep.
And each stroke is just as important as the next stroke or the previous stroke. Each one is same amount of importance. And so if you're going along and you mess up a stroke, you need to forget about it like right away, because you have about another 100 strokes coming behind you that all need your total focus. And if you spend those 100 strokes thinking about that one stroke that you took that you screwed up, then those strokes probably aren't going to be as good because they don't have your total focus.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change it. So that wasn't really your question. I know that's like a hypothetical crystal ball
No, it
type
actually
thing.
does. It is an interesting aspect. It really what it highlights to me is that you could spend, I think it speaks to how you immediately handled the situation at the time in 2010 when this happened. I remember listening to one of your interviews where you said, I was supposed to go through this mourning process and through this, all the stages of doubt and mourning, but you kind of skipped all that over and you just totally focused on what can I do now? I mean, how can I achieve what I always will and want to achieve now? And you kind of skipped over that. And
Right.
a lot of people might think about, if I could go back and, gosh, wouldn't that be nice? You not even entertaining that thought has just made you that much more effective in like getting to the place that we all want to get to.
Right. And I mean, if I went back and, well, I mean, on top of that, if I went back and I changed something, then, all the stuff that I enjoy now, I would have never met my wife. I would have never had all sorts of opportunities. That would be gone. So for me to think that in my present situation, going back, it would be, I wouldn't be able to fathom it because I have all these things now. And then I've just had the opportunity to make a difference in a way that I don't think I would have been able to as an able-bodied person. And that's not to say that the way I'm making a difference now is better than what I would have done. But I can't fathom it because I have everything now, and that's all a part of me now. So
yeah,
trying to get rid of, just entirely change myself.
Yeah, yep, I understand. You are a Paralympic medalist, which is an extraordinary achievement, and congratulations, it's amazing. But one of the things that you, from the very beginning, you are a Marine, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and in the Marines, as with a lot of most anywhere in the armed forces, but especially present in the special I suppose in the Marines or in special forces of any sorts, there's a sense of team and a sense of protecting and helping and everything for your person, for your partner, for your team, for your community. So you came through that, and then you began rowing, which of course is not yourself. That's at least with one other person.
Yeah.
My question to you is, you've gone through something where you probably are not as capable in every aspect of life as you were before. So you have probably needed help more than any time in the life that you can remember. I would think that you have needed to rely on other people and have help from other people more in the last 6-7 years than you had before. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, definitely.
So if that is the
That's not
case,
to say I've never got help from other people, but
sure,
yeah.
I wouldn't say you never, but I would imagine that you probably have had to more
right. Like I wouldn't have a woman. I would, like, my wife carries my luggage sometimes now, so I wouldn't let that happen, before. But now it's kind of a necessity.
Sure. So my question to you is, your sense of team, has your sense of team changed in the last 6-7 years than it was before?
It would have only have changed in that I've had a lot more experience in the last 7 years being part of a team and doing things for other people. So my philosophy and my theory on what it means to be a good team member, the base of what all my experiences on has not changed, but I've probably matured and gotten better at it and gotten a better just more experience on it in the last 7 years because I've just been doing it for longer.
Yeah.
So it has changed, but at the same time, it hasn't.
What do you think is the most important aspect of team in your experience as you have been working with teams for most of your life? What is most important about someone engaging in a team effort that is challenging something they're trying to do that's extraordinary or great or hard? What do you think is most important as someone engages in a team environment trying to achieve something?
The most important thing would be putting the team first before yourself. So putting the needs of the team and the success of the team before your own needs and your own success. And that's the only way that a person is really, truly going to get the most out of themselves. So, for example, if a Marine was in Afghanistan and he only cared about himself, or he put himself before his brothers or the team, he wouldn't be diving on a grenade for anybody. And so, therefore, he's not going to be doing he's not going to be living up to his most, his highest potential, because his highest potential for valor and courage, because he's worried about himself. Whereas a Marine that cares more about his brother Marine or his sister Marine and his platoon is going to dive on that grenade in a heartbeat and fully realize what he's capable of in terms of valor.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, what are you excited about next? I mean, you've come off of doing these series of marathons. Do you have plans to do something next with your?
I have a couple of things I'm thinking of. I don't want to say anything publicly just yet. But yeah, so I'm excited for what I can come up with next, if anything. It's going to be really, really tough, I think, to top doing what I just did, in terms of finding a challenge that's just the right length and kind of just the right notoriety. With obviously a lot of people identify with a marathon, so it's going to be hard to beat that. But I'm kind of just excited about seeing how far I can take this message and how many lives I can affect with it, and how much I can kind of bridge that gap of understanding between civilians and military, and just try and reduce that down, and hopefully spread a little bit of what I've learned to not only civilians but military as well, and just see how that permeates, and hopefully it'll have a positive effect.
Do you think, looking farther into the future, that you see yourself continuing to do events like this, or do you have any thoughts for like a larger strategy, or incorporating it into a lifelong effort of sorts? I'm imagining like you going into politics or something at some point and making a difference that way. Do you have any aspirations that are on a longer term scale?
Yeah, I have thought about both of those, actually. I thought about public office, and because that you can make a difference in a way that you can't as a civilian, whereas I could make another difference by continuously doing these challenges. So obviously I could probably do some sort of challenge well into my later years. I don't know if, like I said, it's going to be hard to top this one. So I wouldn't want to do a challenge and then have it just not be that great, or just not that impressive or whatever. So I have to be really careful about what I do next.
Yeah, you kind of like shot the moon on your first try.
Yeah, my first couple ones were pretty tough to top. So yeah, no, I've definitely thought about continuing to do physical challenges like that. And I've also considered doing public office and speaking engagements and that kind of thing, and trying to spread the message that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely thought about both of those things.
Do you think in the time that you were running all those marathons, I'm kind of taking you back here because there was something I was curious about. Were you challenged physically more than you have ever been before? Was this a quest that is more difficult than anything you've done physically?
I don't know. So I think it's probably equal. It's unique. It's so unique that it's hard to say it's really more difficult or easier, because my bike ride that I did, the day-to-day for that wasn't as hard as the day-to-day for this marathon challenge. But at the same time, it lasted for 6 months. So in terms of how long it was, that would be more difficult. This was only a month, but it was harder day to day. And then it's hard to get much more difficult than going on a deployment to Iraq or Afghanistan, because that has its own. You go back every day and you get to rest a little bit, but at the same time it's 120 degrees out. You're getting shot at, and you're facing a lot more danger. And so that has its own mental and physical fatigue associated with that. So they're all different, and so it's kind of hard to say what's most difficult and what's easiest.
Was your process of getting through the most challenging aspects of that the same? Like the hardest times in Afghanistan and the most challenging times when you're running a marathon, was the process in your head the same to push through it?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. So on the bike, or sorry, on the bike ride and on the marathon challenge, I remembered why I was there, why I was doing it, and it was because I wanted to support my fellow veterans. I was doing it for them, so it was for something greater than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And same exact thing in the Marine Corps. That's why I was able to go out in front of these infantry squads and try and find an IED, all by myself. Well, not by myself, but kind of on a solo trip out there, because I was clearing the route for my fellow Marines that were, I had to make sure that route was clear so none of them got hurt. So it is this similar thought process of putting the team or putting the mission or something bigger than you before yourself.
Yes. Looking at the grand scale, what legacy would you like to leave? Just at the highest level you can imagine. What do you want to leave? What's the mark that you would like to leave with your life?
I would like to leave the legacy of. Man, that's a tough one. That's I would like to leave a legacy where I had an effect on people, where they started to take personal responsibility more, and they were a little bit more selfless for the country as a whole, and for Americans as a whole, but for the world as a whole. I would like to. And like I said before, I don't care if my name's associated or not, but hopefully when I die, maybe I'll be able to see a little bit of an improvement in those areas.
Wonderful. Is there anything that I haven't asked, or that in your interviews that you think is important that we may not see or readily be talking about? Is there anything important that we've left out?
No, I think you asked me some stuff I haven't been asked before, so that was a good. I'm gonna have to think about those questions a little bit more. Like the legacy one and a couple other ones. I have to think about that a little bit more, and actually kind of think that out, so I know have my direction in that way.
Sure.
So I appreciate you asking some unique questions there.
Absolutely. If someone wanted to get involved, inspired by you, where might they go? I know you have robjonesjourney.com, I believe that is. Can you say that again, and what one might do to become involved and an activist in the way that you are doing so?
Yeah, like you said, robjonesjourney.com, my website. You can sign up. You can actually sign up there for anything that I do in the future. Like if you want to help me do something as a volunteer, whatever I'm doing next, whatever that may be, you can sign up there, and I'll have your email address. And whenever I decide to do something else, you'll get a little contact. If you don't want to help me on a mission or whatever, like in that kind of a role, you can donate to the charities I support up in my marathon challenge. You can buy T-shirts that a portion of the proceeds get donated. and you can just send me a message. Send me a message through my website, contact me, and for whatever reason, whatever it may be. And then all my social media is at Rob Jones Journey. You can contact me through there.
Wonderful. Rob Jones, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute honor to talk to you.
Oh man, it's been my honor too, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. Come back for episode 15 with special guest Dr. Joey Rivera and hear about his remarkable journey from high school dropout and juvenile delinquent to CEO of one of the most exciting and successful small businesses in existence today. I'm Julian Schrenzel. This is Improvisationally Speaking. See you soon.